Hello guys, I hope all of you are doing well and your preparation is going full on and you are getting towards the revision days, right? So guys, I welcome all of you to today's Pharmcast and today again guys I'll be discussing 5 different drug of choice and one question guys that is sometimes bother us while we are preparing, that is how to deal with the unproductive days of your preparation or revision, right? What to do about those, and what if I'm getting too much depressed about those lost hours or lost days in my preparation. So I'll discuss that at last. So let's begin with our first disorder for today guys. It is treatment of bradycardia. Now guys, think, what is the drug of choice for bradycardia? Think guys, it's not difficult. Alright, I'll give you two options. One is atropine, second one is epinephrine. Choose one. Choose one in your brain. Which is the answer? Is it atropine? Is it epinephrine? What do you think guys? Guys, remember for bradycardia, the drug of choice is atropine. The dose we use is 0.5 milligram to 1 milligram. Now, they might ask you why not lesser than 0.5. Suppose what will happen if I use 0.4 milligrams or 0.3 milligrams for bradycardia? Remember guys, what happens is doses lesser than 0.5, they cause paradoxical bradycardia, and that is due to central parasympathomimetic effect, and that might be because of atropine blocking at low doses only presynaptic M2 receptors, which are GI subtype, right? And that would increase release of acetylcholine that can cause paradoxical bradycardia, and that would worsen bradycardia. So remember guys, the dose of atropine in bradycardia is 0.5 to 1 milligrams. Lesser than 0.5 milligram will itself cause bradycardia. You'll lose your patient. Now remember, if your patient is not responding to atropine, then we have three options you can choose from. One is pacing, second one is a drug dopamine, and third one is a drug epinephrine, right guys? So drug of choice for bradycardia, I'll repeat once again, it is atropine. Not responding, go for pacing, dopamine or epinephrine. Move on to the second disorder for today, and that is breast cancer. Guys, remember, breast cancer I can broadly subclassify into ER positive and HER2 positive, which are much more commonly asked than the triple negative one. So ER positive breast cancer guys can be premenopausal, postmenopausal. Remember carefully, premenopausal breast cancer, ER positive, drug of choice is tamoxifen, both for treatment and prophylaxis. Post-menopausal breast cancer, ER positive, letrozole or aromatase inhibitors are the drug of choice, both for treatment and prophylaxis. In case my patient does not respond either to tamoxifen or letrozole in both these cases, then my drug of choice in these resistant cases becomes a drug called as fulvestrant, and this fulvestrant is an SERD. It is a selective estrogen receptor downregulator. And remember guys, the duration of therapy. See, whenever I use tamoxifen or letrozole in breast cancer in premenopausal and postmenopausal females, the duration of therapy for prophylaxis is always 5 years, right? Treatment is also 5 years, but if required, we can use for another 5 years from case to case basis. Whereas HER2 positive breast cancer, it has been asked many times guys in our exams, it is trastuzumab. It is anti-HER2 monoclonal antibody. Now in case the patient does not respond to trastuzumab, I can use lapatinib. Lapatinib is a HER2 tyrosine kinase inhibitor. So that's all you need to remember in breast cancer guys. Moving on to the third disorder for today, and guys, that is brain tumor. Now remember guys, what is the drug of choice for brain tumor? Think guys, think. The drug of choice for brain tumor is temozolomide. Now temozolomide has been asked once in our exams, and they had asked you to which class does it belong. Guys, temozolomide is an alkylating agent. Temozolomide is an alkylating agent. Now the older drugs which were preferred for breast cancer, those are nitrosoureas. So nitrosoureas like carmustine, lomustine, samustine, these were also used for treatment of brain tumor because these are highly lipid soluble drugs and they can cross the blood-brain barrier, right? So obviously guys, temozolomide and these drugs, one thing I can say, they are highly lipid soluble. So guys, all in all, remember brain tumor, currently the drug of choice is temozolomide. Moving on to the fourth disorder for today, that is brittle asthma. So guys, you must be thinking, what is brittle asthma? What do you mean by this word brittle? Brittle means, guys, a type of asthma that can turn into a severe asthma attack anytime, right? It's very highly unpredictable. So these patients, they're very rare, but their asthma is very fluctuating, and all of a sudden it worsens to a very high degree. And the problem with brittle asthma is it does not respond well to our classical drugs like beta 2 agonist and steroids, right? So what should we use as a drug of choice in brittle asthma? Think, guys, think. So in brittle asthma, what am I gonna use? I'll be using, guys, epinephrine. So epinephrine is also a bronchodilator because it acts upon beta 2 receptor, but it is not that a commonly used drug. So we use epinephrine, right, when other drugs are not effective, like in the case of brittle asthma, right, guys? So we have reached to the last disorder for today, that is bronchial challenge test. So bronchial challenge test, guys, you must be knowing this is what we do for diagnosis of bronchial asthma, to check the bronchial hyperreactivity. And for that, the drug of choice is a cholinergic drug. Think, guys, which cholinergic? Is it methacholine, beta-nicol, carbachol? Which one is it? Guys, it is methacholine. The reason being, methacholine is shorter acting as compared to beta-nicol or carbachol like drugs. And you know that whenever I choose a drug for diagnosis, whenever I choose a drug for emergency management, whenever I choose a drug for intraoperative period, one thing I need from those drugs is they must be short acting. So here I prefer methacholine. Now remember, guys, there are two things I need to tell you about methacholine. Methacholine is a drug which is most potent at M2 receptor, right? It is most potent at M2. So when they ask you methacholine acts on which receptor? M2. But remember, if they ask you methacholine is used because of which receptor, then your answer would be M3, because in bronchi we have M3 receptor. But overall, it is more potent at M2, but we are not using it because of M2. Right, guys, so these were 5 disorders for which we had to discuss the drugs of choice. And finally, we have come down to our last section, that is how to deal with unproductive days of preparation, guys. So remember, this can be a thorn in your flesh sometimes, and you might get depressed because of this. And remember, guys, there can be many reasons, right? And because of these unproductive days, and one important thing is it happens to everyone, guys. It happens to everyone, and don't think that you are only one in that position, as we are humans and we are not machines. And for even machines, they break down once in a while, right? And so that's perfectly all right. So you'll have some unproductive hours or days. And now if you had a significant number of days wasted, that's a different story. Right, so for that, I'll tell you what should be done. See, for example, guys, I'll tell you what happened with me while I was preparing, and I had 10 days of viral fever. So the viral strain was very, dangerous, and because of which I couldn't even get up from the bed, and it was as severe as dengue fever, but thankfully I was not having dengue. But all in all, my 10 days were gone, and those 10 days I had kept for pediatrics. So I was really depressed. I was not depressed about my disease. I was more depressed about pediatrics. So what am I gonna do about pediatrics? So I could not study, I could not attend my regular batch class, I could not attend TND of pediatrics, I couldn't do anything about pediatrics, right? So I was depressed because I cannot leave one subject, right? I cannot do that. So I thought, what should I do? So I was depressed, but then I had to find a way out. So I realized, I don't have another 10 days. So, but what I have is, I have 24 hours in a day. So I can manage to squeeze at least half an hour to 1 hour every day out of my normal routine, right? So what I did is, every day after my routine was over, I would force myself, right? I would have a cup of coffee and force myself to sit that extra 30 minutes to 1 hour. And I knew that I could not cover it. I didn't have any notes. I did not attend the class. So what I did is, I only solved MCQs, right? At that time, we used to have books like Mudit Khanna and Amit Ashish. So I only did MCQs of pediatrics for 30 minutes to 1 hour every day for at least 1 to 2 months, so that I completed at least 10 years MCQs. And from those explanations, I made some notes of those frequently asked topics. So what I want to tell you is, See, everything will never be perfect in your preparation. Everything will never be perfect in your life. There would be imperfection, but nevertheless, you do not have to lose hope. You still have to carry forward, right? Make some adjustments and hope for the best, right, guys? So do not lose hope. And that's all for today, guys. And I wish all of you all the best. Take care. Bye bye. This was Dr. Ranjan with you.